let us know about the Upanishads. Okay, so during the time when Buddha was preaching, or maybe even a bit earlier, okay, so some thinkers started to uh, think about life. So they wanted some answers for the difficult questions such as life after death. So, do we have a life after our death? So, do we get a rebirth? Okay, and why sacrifices should be performed? What is the use of performing the sacrifices? Okay, so and some thinkers also felt that there is something permanent in the universe, even that last even after our death. So the thinkers described that as Atman and Brahman. Atman means individual soul, Brahman means universal soul, and both Brahman and Atman are one. Okay, so the thinkers wanted answers for such difficult questions. This is how they got the idea of forming the Upanishads. Okay, so Upanishad means approaching and sitting near. Okay, so basically, Upanishad is the conversation, or the questions and answers that were recorded. Okay, so the conversations between the teacher and students or some scholars. Okay, so this is Upanishad. So Upanishad is basically the conversations of teachers, students, or between the two, or the debate between the two scholars, or the conversation of teachers and students, basically a question answer session. Okay, so that was recorded and written down as Upanishad. Okay, so Upanishad is also called as Vedanta. That is the end of the Vedas. End of the Vedas. So Upanishad is a later Vedic text. So that is after the after the Vedas, Upanishads were composed. So that is why later Vedic texts. Okay, so these conversations or the debates were held in royal courts. Okay, so these Upanishadic thinkers were mostly men from the Varna of Brahmin and Kshatriyas. Okay, we know and we have already learned that women, dasa, dasis, and poor people and the kamakaras were not allowed to participate in any of the events or rituals that were conducted in the royal courts. Okay, so here there are two exceptions, that is, a woman thinker named Gargi was a famous and popular Upanishadic thinker. Okay, so Gargi used to participate in all the debates held in the royal courts. So Gargi was one of the famous Upanishadic thinker, women Upanishadic thinker. Okay, so the other exception is Satyakama Jabala, son of a slave woman named Jabali. Okay, so he was a son of slave women. Okay, so he was named after his mother Jabali. Okay, so he had a deep desire, and he also had deep interest in gaining knowledge. So, as he had the deep interest and desire to gain knowledge, a Brahmin guru or teacher named Haridrumata Gautama accepted Satyakama Jabala as his student. Okay, and there is also a Upanishad called Jabal Upanishads. Okay, so in that we can find the teachings of Satyakama Jabala or the conversation between his guru and himself. Okay, Jabal Upanishad. Okay, and Satyakama Jabala was one of the famous Upanishadic thinker of Upanishads. Okay, so there are 108 Upanishads. In that, 10 are considered to be most important. For example, Chandogya Upanishad, Mandokya Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad. Okay, so like this, there are many Upanishads, but 10 of the 10 of them are considered to be most important Upanishads. So, in the textbook, we can find a story, a famous story from Chandogya Upanishad. Okay, so here is a dialogue based on a story from one of the most famous Upanishads, the Chandogya Upanishad. Shaunaka and Abhipratharin were two sages who worshipped the universal soul. Okay, so Shaunaka and Abhipratharan were the two sages who worshipped the universal soul. Once, as they sat down to eat, a beggar came and asked him for some food. We cannot spare anything for you, Shaunaka said. Learned sirs, whom do you worship? The beggar asked. The universal soul, Abhipratharan replied. Ah, it means that you know that the universal soul fills the entire world. Yes, yes, we know that, the sages nodded. If the universal soul fills the whole world, it fills me too. Who am I but a part of the world? The beggar said. You speak the truth, O young Brahmin. O sages, by not giving me food, you are actually denying food to the universal soul. So when the beggar asked these two sages for food, they refused to give him food. But the beggar made the sages realize the truth, and later the sages shared their food with the beggar. After listening to the words of beggar, they realized the truth and shared their food with him. Okay, so this is the story from Chandogya Upanishad. Okay, so this Upanishad and the Vedas were written in Sanskrit language, right? So now we will know about a famous scholar called Panini, the grammarian. Okay, so Panini was a great Sanskrit scholar who prepared the grammar for Sanskrit language. Okay, and he also arranged the vowels and consonant in a special order so that they could form some formulas such as in algebra. Okay, and he also laid down the rules of the language in short formulas. And Ashtadhyayi was the book written by Panini. Okay, so he was the person who prepared the grammar for Sanskrit language. So grammar is important for any language, right? So that was prepared by Panini for the Sanskrit language. He was a great scholar. Okay, so this is all about the Upanishads. Okay.